Hey, I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. Give this video a like.
Check out the podcast below in the description.
All right, John. The 49ers lost to the Saints. Final score was not indicative of what the final score was at halftime. Four-quarter game, it turns out, which is problematic for the 49ers. And we talked a lot about how important this game was going to be going into the bye. Just given the math of the postseason, it did feel like the last sliver of a postseason hope died on the field on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I got caught up a little bit in the first 10 minutes of the game. I'm like, they're up 10-0. Kyle Shanahan, throwing some curveballs, throwing some haymakers. And then at the end of the day, when you roll out Nick Mullins, because the defense I thought was playing incredible. They knocked Drew Brees out of the game. You get famous Jameson. But at the end of the day, Nick Mullins your quarterback. And I'm texting with you. I'm texting with 5 other people. Like, when's it coming? When's it coming?
It was coming.
And it came. And it fucking hit Malcolm Jenkins right in the hands. You just can't win games against good teams with Nick Mullins. Now, you could argue the Eagles aren't any good. You can't win games against bad teams with him either. But you really, the Saints are clearly not just headed to the playoffs. Like, I'd say there are 3 or 4 teams that you go, they could win the Super Bowl. We'll see Drew Brees get an MRI, but they're just the way they're built. I mean, they're good. I mean, they have a $10 million coach. They got star players everywhere. And the Niners gave them everything they have, but Nick Mullins is their quarterback. It's really that simple. Now, they got other issues at other places, but, like, to me, your $25 million quarterback is hurt. He can't play, and you're playing with a backup who is, the more and more he plays, backup, like, he's like a marginal backup. Like, is he in the league in a couple years? I'd probably know.
It feels like you can't run your offense with him if he's the guy that has to fill in for the starter who runs the entire offense, right? You know what? Look,
he's not like scared, but he definitely.
No, but that's the part of the problem.
You know, it's just it's a weird watch.
Part of the problem is that he's very confident, which is not a problem.
It's not a weird watch. It's just not a great. He's just not very good
in a lot of ways though. But he just has these play, and now we've seen it enough that we know when it's coming. You just know it's coming for the most part when they have to go make plays to win. See, I don't think your early read on the game was crazy. Like, they scored the touchdown. They really needed to score another touchdown instead of kicking that first field goal. But they were, to me, a lot of things just have to go their way. Or the better way to put it is they can't have things go against them. They can't have muffed punts. They got to take the ball away once or twice.
Against an 11 or 12-win team.
Yeah, you just can't have, now, like you tweeted this, and I think you're right, the roughing the passer penalty that it turned out knocked Brees out of the game, so kind of was worth it. But it was the worst one I've ever seen. You said it's the worst and it was the worst one I've ever seen.
Because not only did he not pile drive him, he fell to the side.
Yeah. And he didn't, and the ball was not long gone when he hit him. Blah blah blah. They can't have the face mask. You can't have a laundry list of things go against you if you're even going to have a shot. But my point is, like, early in the game when they were moving the ball and they're up 10-0, and I don't think you were wrong about this could be the way they win the game, but they just have to be so buttoned down if Nick Mullins is going to be their quarterback. And, their defense obviously is also not good enough for Nick Mullins to be their quarterback at this point. So,
even though their defense, if their offense was really good, would be fine for NFL standards. Right?
They just can't have both sides of the ball.
Yeah. It just shows you that the moment Jimmy got hurt and was bad this season, like, their season looking back has just been over.
Right.
Because we know this, but when you're living in it, you're like, maybe they can patchwork together. The tried and true formula is you need a good quarterback in the NFL to make the playoffs. Like, to me, you need 2 things to make the playoffs: a good quarterback and a good head coach. Now, sometimes we've gotten by, like a couple years ago, like the Bears had that number 1 defense and they dragged Mitch Trubisky. Like, there are some outlier situations. But, like, if you have a good quarterback, which the Niners did last year, Jimmy Garoppolo played like a good quarterback, and they had a top-flight coach, you make the playoffs. When you have a good coach and a really shitty quarterback for many games, especially the way the Niners' schedule broke out, like, Jimmy got hurt and they went into this stretch against, like, playoff team. It was like, see ya. And now it's just over. Like, they're not making the playoffs, which at one point today I thought, well, they get to 5-5, you get a bye, like, they're just going to be in the mix for a couple more weeks.
Well, we did the math the other day, right? They get to 5-5, they still play Washington and Dallas. They still play the Rams. They still play Arizona. They still play Seattle. Like, they would have a lot in front of them.
They needed the Rams and Arizona to lose today, and last time I checked, both those teams
They
won.
also needed both those teams to be worse in the second half of the season than they were in the first half of the season so that they could go 9-7. So there were so many things, and you're right. The Saints game is a great example of this was the type of game you're going to have to win repeatedly down the stretch.
Yeah. One problem is, and that we're a ways away from this, is they can just play really hard right now against the good teams, and they're the Rams, probably even Arizona, just because they're not going to be able to score. Seattle, there are going to be a couple games that it's going to not behoove them to win, but they'll probably beat Washington. Dallas, who knows? I mean, that's a lot of weird shit before then, but just Washington's a good example of like. There's going to be better in Washington. Well, you'd think. Actually, I saw Washington came back today on Detroit.
Storming back.
So maybe
Alex
threw
for like 360 or something today.
Yeah, maybe I need to pump the brakes. Maybe as long as you keep rolling Mullins and CJ out, you're going to be at a disadvantage every week. Maybe that's just that simple.
Yeah, but I do think your overall take is right, which is now we have reached the point in the season where you draw a line and go, it's about draft position. It's about who you're drafting. And this is, I think, probably obvious to everyone hearing us talk about this, but when you say
Ayuk is killing it.
Ayuk's killing it. Kinlaw.
Yeah.
Here we go.
He was an ass kicker today.
Just to hammer your point home, I think everyone hearing your point about you need a good quarterback to win gets it. I think most people do. But let me just rattle off the teams that are in playoff position right now. Just think about their quarterbacks as I say these names. Okay? Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Buffalo, Indy, Baltimore, the Raiders, the Dolphins, the Packers, the Saints, the Cardinals, the Eagles. They're an outlier. Tampa, the Rams, the Seahawks.
At the end of the day, the Eagles. I mean, their guy is in shambles. He's like the highest paid player in the league. I'm not. Yeah,
but they're
not winning because of him. They're losing.
No, for sure. But they're also like a tie is what has them in first place in their division. So that could easily be Dallas.
I saw someone tweeted that Gettleman, they said it on the broadcast, that Gettleman told them, whoever was calling the game, that he has been told by countless people this week that they are the best 2-7 team they've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
Someone's like, what a hill to bang the table on.
Yeah.
Like, that's one to go out on, Dave.
That's incredible. I didn't hear that.
But then I got to give the Giants credit. They are. I mean, he might not even be wrong. Like they're playing.
Yeah, the question is like, what's the list? Who are we even comparing you to?
I am glad the Niners aren't. They are this season. No matter what goes, it's not even about like the record or anything now. I mean, ultimately it is to lead the draft position, but like playing hard and none of that fucking matters, right? Because their goal this year was to get back to the playoffs, make another run, and that clearly got derailed by injuries, which were out of control. As we were talking, or right, like as the intro was going on, I had Twitter still up. JaMychal Hasty, broke his collarbone.
Oh, on that, I remember the play.
It just shows you.
You're exactly right. There's none of this like we gotta evaluate the system and figure out what's wrong. How do you think the former trainers all feel though?
Well, my defense of trainers, guy, always is. It's so easy, and I was saying this before. These guys got to go, but like.
No, it's a joke.
The Eagles, for example.
When I say joke, I mean I'm kidding. Like the whole.
No, I know, but people always like these guys got to go. Well, the teams believe that. I mean, we talked about it. They fucking fired everybody. The Eagles did the same thing. Like I just don't believe that the reason you have a million ankle sprains are because of the trainer. But it consistently happens. Those guys do get fired. You talk about a job that's out of your control, like coaching. Personnel, like a lot of that's out of your control, right? An injury, something happens. What happens to the other team? Trainer, I mean, you have no power. You're like, hey guys, I'm just trying to save lives and keep people erect and keep people moving straight. And you guys are always looking at me like I'm the village idiot.
Yeah,
you guys want this little fanny pack and help people?
Do you realize what sport we play?
I mean,
somebody is hurt literally on every play. Anyway, you're right. That is the nice part of this is that there's no big mystery as to why we're here, right? If you're the Niners, you don't look at it and go, God, we got to figure out what we're going to do with the coaches. It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
What about the players? Yeah.
Robert Saleh's not going anywhere.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. You don't have to figure it out.